Picture yourself cruising down the highway, windows down, the smell of summer in the air. The radio crackles to life, and suddenly you're transported. Can you feel it? That electricity in the air when a song comes on and everyone knows every word? Today we're journeying back to 1975, a year when music didn't just play in the background, it became the soundtrack to our lives. Stick around. One of these was a B-side that radio DJs refused to stop playing until it became a #1 hit. We're counting down the top 15 songs from 1975 that still make our hearts skip a beat. These aren't just hits. They're time capsules filled with memories, legal battles, and the moments that defined a generation. If you're ready to take this trip down memory lane with us, hit that like button and come along for the ride. Number 15. Kicking off our list is Neil Sedaka with Bad Blood, released in September 1975. That opening piano riff cut through the radio like a confession you weren't ready to hear. The song hit #1 in October and featured Elton John on buried backing vocals. You could barely hear him, but his friendship gave Sedaka the comeback he desperately needed. The recording session took just 4 hours in Los Angeles, with Elton showing up as a favor between tour dates. Sedaka produced the track himself at his home studio, layering piano over piano to create that thick, driving sound. Here's what most people miss. Listen closely at the 147 mark and you'll catch Elton's harmony peek through the mix for just 3 seconds. The song was later covered by dozens of artists, but none captured the raw urgency of Sedaka's original. Bad Blood wasn't just about betrayal. It was Sedaka's own statement to the music business that had forgotten him. Every note carried the weight of a man fighting his way back to relevance. After years in the wilderness, after watching the British invasion sweep him aside, this song announced that Neil Sedaka still had something to say, and America fell in love with that underdog story all over again. Coming up soon, a song that sparked an international lawsuit and nearly ended a career before it could begin. Keep watching. Number 14. Moving up the charts, we have Hamilton, Joe Frank, and Reynolds with Fallen in Love, released in the summer of 1975. Baby, baby, falling in love. I'm falling in love again. This was the song playing softly in the background when you realized it was happening. You were falling and there was no stopping it. The track became their biggest hit, topping the charts in August. The group had been around since the late 60s, grinding it out in clubs and studios, until this gentle melody finally broke them through. The recording featured a 20-piece string section and took 3 days to perfect in a Hollywood studio, with the band insisting on getting every vocal harmony exactly right. Interestingly, the song was originally offered to the Carpenters, but Karen Carpenter felt it didn't suit their style. Hamilton, Joe Frank, and Reynolds grabbed it and made it their signature moment. The track later appeared in countless wedding playlists throughout the 70s and 80s, becoming the soundtrack to slow dances across America. What made you fall in love with this song? The guitar intro, that moment when the harmony kicks in, or the way it perfectly captured that helpless feeling when your heart makes the decision for you? Number 13. Sliding into number 13, Elton John delivers Philadelphia Freedom, released in February 1975. That horn section announcement, you knew something special was about to happen. The song hit #1 in April as a tribute to tennis legend Billie Jean King, spending 2 weeks at the top with one of Elton's most energetic arrangements. Full orchestra, blazing horns, unstoppable piano. The recording featured the legendary Philadelphia soul sound, with Elton bringing in top session musicians to create that wall of sound production. Engineer Gus Dudgeon used 16-track recording technology to layer multiple horn sections, creating an almost overwhelming sense of celebration. The song title came from King's team name, the Philadelphia Freedoms, after Elton attended one of their matches. But the message went deeper. It became an anthem for anyone fighting for what they believe in, mirroring the battles for equality and recognition happening across America. Elton later said this was one of his favorite recordings because it captured pure joy without cynicism. something he felt the world desperately needed in 1975. Number 12. At number 12, we've got Morris Albert with Feelings, released in 1975.
For my life I'll feel it.
You either loved it or you couldn't escape it, but either way, you remember it. The ballad reached number 6 and became an international sensation, spending 14 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Albert recorded it in both English and Spanish, with the Spanish version, Dime, becoming equally successful in Latin American markets. The production was deliberately minimal, just piano, strings, and Albert's emotional vocal, creating an intimate atmosphere that made every listener feel like the song was written just for them. But here's the twist. French composer Louis Gast sued Albert, claiming he'd stolen the melody from his 1957 song Pour Toi. The case settled out of court. Gast got songwriting credit and royalties. Despite the legal battle, the song sold millions of copies worldwide and was covered by everyone from Frank Sinatra to Ella Fitzgerald. The controversy couldn't diminish what the song represented: permission to be vulnerable in public, to admit that heartbreak is real and sometimes overwhelming. In an era when disco encouraged people to dance away their problems, Feelings said it was okay to sit with your pain for a while. Stick around. We've got a chart topper that was recorded live and almost didn't get released as a single. The story behind it will surprise you. Number 11. Coming in at number 11 is the Carpenters with Only Yesterday, released in March 1975.
Let's face their share of loneliness.
Karen Carpenter's voice was like velvet, smooth, warm, and impossible to forget. The song peaked at number 4 with that signature Carpenter sound. Lush orchestration paired with Karen's crystal clear vocals. Written by Richard Carpenter and John Bettis, the track featured a string arrangement by Peter Knight that perfectly complemented Karen's delivery. The recording session was notably emotional. Karen nailed the vocal in just 2 takes, with Richard later saying she intuitively understood the song's bittersweet nature. The Carpenters were at the height of their fame in 1975, with Karen's voice becoming synonymous with a kind of gentle melancholy that resonated across generations. Radio stations played this track alongside their bigger hits, and it became a favorite at high school proms and graduation ceremonies. Only Yesterday captured that aching beauty of looking back, not with regret, but with gratitude for what was. It acknowledged that love doesn't always last forever, but the joy it brought remains real and precious. Picture this. You're slow dancing, the lights are dim, and this song comes on. Who's in your arms? That's the power of a Carpenter's ballad. It doesn't just play, it transports. Number 10. The Doobie Brothers claim number 10 with Black Water, released as a single in late 1974 but dominating 1975. This was the song that made you want to grab a guitar, sit by a river, and just breathe. It became their first number 1 in March, but here's the crazy part. It was originally the B-side of another single, Another Park, Another Sunday. Radio DJs across the country kept flipping the record over because they loved Black Water so much, and listener requests poured in. Warner Brothers Records had to officially flip the single and promote Black Water as the A-side. The people spoke, and the label had to listen. The song was written by drummer John Hartman and featured Patrick Simmons on lead vocals, giving it a different flavor from the Doobie Brothers' typical Tom Johnston-led tracks. The recording included a distinctive a cappella section and subtle banjo work that evoked Mississippi riverboats and Southern charm. The track was recorded in a single afternoon in San Francisco, with the band capturing lightning in a bottle. Proof that sometimes the best songs aren't the ones the executives pick. They're the ones that find their own way into people's hearts. Black Water taught the music industry a valuable lesson about trusting the audience's instincts. Number 9. Next up at number 9, the Bee Gees arrive with Jive Talkin', released in May 1975. Close your eyes and you're back on the dance floor. Disco lights swirling overhead. That falsetto cutting through the night. The track hit number 1 and spent 2 weeks at the top, their first chart topper in years, and the beginning of their disco transformation. Recorded at Criteria Studios in Miami with producer Arif Mardin, this marked a radical departure from their earlier ballad-heavy style. The brothers Gibb were essentially reinventing themselves in real time, and the gamble paid off spectacularly. That signature rhythm, inspired by the sound of their car driving over a bumpy bridge, the Julia Tuttle Causeway in Miami Beach. Barry Gibb has told the story countless times. The rhythmic sound of the tires hitting the expansion joints created a percussive pattern that stuck in his head. A Pothole became a #1 hit. The song saved the Bee Gees' career at a time when they were considered yesterday's news, proving that artists who evolve survive. 2 years later, they dominate the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack and become the biggest group on the planet. But it all started here with Jive Talkin and a willingness to take risks. Coming up, a cover song that outsold the original and made a female artist one of the most powerful voices in rock. Don't go anywhere. Number 8. Claiming number 8, America delivers Sister Golden Hair, released in April 1975.
It's on Monday, and I got myself undressed.
That opening guitar riff still gives us chills every single time. The song climbed to number 1 in June, becoming one of the defining soft rock tracks of the era, and America's second chart topper after A Horse with No Name. Jerry Beckley wrote it about romantic hesitation, wanting commitment but not quite being ready. The recording featured intricate vocal harmonies and a jangly guitar sound that became America's trademark. Recorded at Caribou Ranch Studio in Colorado over several weeks of sessions. Producer George Martin, yes, the Beatles' George Martin, helped shape the song's lush arrangement, adding orchestral touches that elevated it beyond typical rock fare. Martin's influence is subtle but crucial, giving the track a sophistication that radio programmers loved. Where were you when you first heard those words? Well, I tried to make it Sunday, but I got so damn depressed. Maybe driving alone, windows down, suddenly realizing someone had finally put your exact feelings into words. That line resonated because it was honest about the messiness of modern relationships. The way we want connection, but fear losing ourselves. Sister Golden Hair became the anthem for everyone who's ever been almost ready to take the leap, caught between desire and doubt, hope and hesitation. Before we continue to number 7, take a second and drop a comment below. Which 1975 song brings back your favorite memory? Where were you when you first heard it? And if you're enjoying this journey back in time, subscribe and ring that bell. We've got more musical time travel coming your way. Number 7. Lucky number 7 belongs to KC and the Sunshine Band with Get Down Tonight, released in June 1975. This was the song that turned every wedding, every party, every gathering into an instant celebration. The track became KC's first number 1. Solidifying the Miami sound that would dominate the rest of the decade. Frontman Harry Wayne Casey and bassist Richard Finch crafted this infectious groove at TK Studios in Hialeah, Florida, blending funk, soul, and pure joy into 3.5 minutes of perfection. The recording featured a tight horn section and Jerome Smith's distinctive guitar work, creating a sound that was immediately danceable yet sophisticated. KC and the Sunshine Band had been building their sound for years, playing clubs and refining their approach before breaking through nationally. This song represented the culmination of that development. Everything they'd learned about getting people on the dance floor distilled into one perfect track. The song wasn't just a party anthem. It was an invitation to let go, to forget your troubles, and to just feel good for a while. In uncertain times, and 1975 had plenty of uncertainty, this song reminded us that dancing could be its own form of therapy. Sometimes the best medicine is simply moving your body and smiling. Number 6. Dancing into number 6, Van McCoy brings us The Hustle, released in May 1975. If you were alive in 1975, you learned the dance. There was no escaping it. The instrumental hit #1 in July and won the Grammy for Best Pop Instrumental Performance. Van McCoy, a songwriter and producer who'd worked behind the scenes for years, created this disco instrumental almost by accident after watching people do a line dance at the Adam's Apple nightclub in New York. He went into the studio the next day and captured that energy, with the track recorded in a single marathon session. The recording featured New York's finest session musicians, including legendary drummer Steve Gadd and the MFSB horn section. McCoy's arrangement was deceptively simple, a repeating melodic line over a steady 4-on-the-floor beat. But the execution was flawless. Every element locked into place with precision. The song gave everyone a dance they could do together. No matter your skill level, you could hustle. It democratized the dance floor in a way few songs have before or since. Dance studios across America started offering hustle classes. And suddenly, grandmothers were dancing alongside grandchildren, everyone learning the same steps. Tragically, Van McCoy died of a heart attack in 1979 at just 39 years old, but the hustle ensured his legacy would live forever. Coming up in our top 5, a song that almost nobody thought would be a hit. The record label fought against releasing it. Find out why they were so wrong. Number 5. Halfway through our countdown at number 5, Linda Ronstadt takes the stage with When Will I Be Loved, released in February 1975. Linda's voice could break your heart and put it back together in the same breath. This cover of the Everly Brothers' 1960 classic shot to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of Ronstadt's signature songs, proving that female artists could dominate the charts with both vulnerability and strength. Recorded at Sound City Studios in Los Angeles, Linda completely reimagined the song, transforming it from the Everly Brothers' country-tinged original into a full-throttle rock anthem. Producer Peter Asher stripped away the sweetness and let Linda's raw power shine through. The recording featured some of the best session musicians in Los Angeles, the same players who would later form the core of the Eagles. Their tight driving instrumental work gave Linda the perfect platform to unleash that incredible voice. The entire track was recorded in just a few takes, with Linda's vocal performance so powerful that everyone in the studio knew they'd captured something special. Do you remember where you were when you first heard Linda belt out that opening line? Maybe you were in your car, stuck in traffic, and suddenly someone was singing your frustration, your longing, your refusal to settle. That's the power of a great performance. It meets you exactly where you are and makes you feel less alone. Linda was at the height of her powers in 1975, dominating both rock and country charts while refusing to compromise her artistic vision. Her interpretation added defiance to the original's longing, a declaration that she deserved better, and she knew it. That confidence resonated then, and it still resonates now. Number 4. Breaking into our top 4, Glen Campbell arrives with Rhinestone Cowboy, released in May 1975.
Singing the same old song.
That opening guitar line was pure Hollywood dreams meeting hard-won reality. The song climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in September 1975 and stayed there for 2 weeks. It also topped the country charts and became Glen's signature tune, a crossover smash that defined his entire career. Written by Larry Weiss, who'd been trying to break into songwriting for years, the song was about perseverance in the face of struggle, about holding onto your dreams even when the road gets rough. Glen Campbell's smooth delivery turned it into an anthem for dreamers everywhere, everyone chasing that spotlight, proving that all the sacrifice was worth it. The recording, produced by Dennis Lambert and Brian Potter, featured a distinctive guitar intro that became instantly recognizable. Session musicians gave the track a polished, radio-friendly sound that appealed to both pop and country audiences. The song almost didn't get recorded. Campbell's label initially rejected it as too pop for country radio and too country for pop radio. But Glen believed in it and insisted on recording it anyway. His instinct proved correct when it became one of the biggest hits of the decade and earned him a Grammy nomination. The message landed then, and it lands now. The journey matters just as much as the destination. Every struggling artist, every person working 2 jobs to chase a dream, Every underdog felt seen by this song. Number 3. Our bronze medal goes to the Silver Convention with Fly Robin Fly, released in 1975. Pure, unapologetic disco energy, with exactly 6 words in the entire song. This German-produced track climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in November 1975 and stayed there for 3 weeks. It also won the Grammy for Best R&B Instrumental Performance and became a disco floor staple worldwide. Producers Sylvester Levay and Michael Kunze crafted the track in Munich, building layers of synthesizers, strings, and percussion into a hypnotic groove that never let up. The genius was in its simplicity. A hypnotic groove, layered instrumentation, and just enough vocal. Literally just fly, Robin, fly, and up to the sky to keep you hooked. 6 words. 3 weeks at number 1. The vocalists were 3 African-American singers living in Germany who became the face of the Silver Convention, though the production team remained largely behind the scenes. The track represented the internationalization of disco, proving that great dance music could come from anywhere and cross any border. Radio stations initially resisted playing it because it was too repetitive, but club DJs made it a phenomenon and radio had to follow. Music transcending language. When the beat speaks directly to your soul, you don't need lyrics to tell you how to feel. Just fly. We're down to the final 2, including the biggest selling single of 1975 and a Grammy winner. Which one takes the crown? Stay tuned. Number 2. Landing at number 2, we have Captain and Tennille with Love Will Keep Us Together, released in April 1975.
Girl comes along, singing a song.
This was the song playing at every wedding, every anniversary, every moment when 2 people looked at each other and just knew. The track shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in June 1975 and stayed there for 4 weeks. It won the Grammy for Record of the Year and became the biggest selling single of 1975, moving over 3 million copies. Written by Neil Sedaka and Howard Greenfield, it was transformed by the husband and wife duo of Daryl Dragon and Tony Tennille into pure romantic magic. The recording featured Tony's powerful lead vocal supported by sophisticated arrangements and Daryl's keyboard work. The couple recorded the track for their debut album, and their label A&M Records immediately recognized they had something special. The song's production was clean and radio-friendly, with just enough edge to avoid being saccharine. The authenticity audiences could feel wasn't just performance, it was a promise between 2 people who meant every word. Daryl and Tony were newlyweds when they recorded it, and that genuine connection comes through in every note. They became America's sweethearts, appearing on variety shows and talk shows, representing the possibility that love could be both romantic and real. In an era of change and uncertainty, Vietnam ending, Watergate fading, the economy struggling, Love Will Keep Us Together reminded us that love, real love, could weather any storm. It offered hope wrapped in a catchy melody, and America couldn't get enough. And now, number 1. Taking our top spot is Tony Orlando and Dawn with He Don't Love You Like I Love You, released in April 1975. This was the song playing when you realized you had to tell them how you really felt. Consequences be damned. The track soared to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in May 1975, giving Tony Orlando and Dawn their 3rd chart topper. It showcased their perfect blend of pop, soul, and emotional storytelling that had made them one of the decade's most successful acts. Recorded in New York with producers Hank Medris and Dave Appel, the song featured a full orchestra and a driving rhythm section that gave it both elegance and urgency. Tony Orlando's vocal performance was particularly powerful. You can hear the desperation in every line, the need to make someone understand before it's too late. The backup vocals from Thelma Hopkins and Joyce Vincent Wilson added emotional depth, creating a wall of sound that felt like friends rallying around you, encouraging you to take that risk. The song's message was simple but powerful, recognizing someone's worth before it's too late. The urgency in the vocals made every word feel like a last chance, a final plea from the heart. It spoke to anyone who'd ever watched from the sidelines while someone they cared about settled for less than they deserved. He Don't Love You captured that universal experience of loving someone who doesn't see what's right in front of them. It was a reminder that sometimes love means speaking up, even when it's scary. Because regret hurts more than rejection ever could. Sometimes you have to risk everything because staying silent means losing everything anyway. And there you have it. 15 songs that didn't just fill the airwaves in 1975. They filled our hearts, our memories, and our lives. These tracks played at our proms, our first dances, our road trips with friends we'll never forget. They were there during breakups and makeups, summer nights and winter mornings. They were there when we needed them most, providing the soundtrack to our most important moments. Now here's the real question. Which of these songs takes you right back? Was it The Hustle that taught you how to dance? Or maybe Rhinestone Cowboy that gave you hope when you needed it most? Or perhaps it was Love Will Keep Us Together playing at your wedding? Drop a comment and tell us your story. We want to know where you were, who you were with, and what that song means to you. Did we miss your favorite? Let us know what should have made the list. And if you love this trip back to 1975, make sure you're subscribed and that bell is turned on. We're continuing this journey through music history decade by decade, song by song. Next time, we might just visit your favorite year. Thanks for letting us share these memories with you. Until next time, keep the music playing and those memories alive.